Kansas didn't get Dame Sarr, but could they go overseas? There's some other interesting players out there. Who are some names to attach it to? And could that be the solution as Kansas and Bill Self looks for another game changer via this offseason?
You are Locked On Jayhawks, your daily podcast on the Kansas Jayhawks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on? Derek Johnson here. This is Locked On Jayhawks, and thanks for making Locked On Jayhawks your first listen every day. Thank you to everydayers catching each and every episode of the show. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcasts, including on our YouTube page where you can like and subscribe to the show. And on today's edition of LOJ, we're talking a little overseas, going to go abroad in this episode about some players from elsewhere that Bill Self could possibly look to if the transfer portal isn't the final answer, whether it's for that final big splash addition or for another player just to kind of fill out the rotation or the roster for KU. Could that make sense? And who are some names to maybe keep an eye on in that area? And before we get into any of that, today's episode of the show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year with Monarch Money. Okay, so we'll get into some of the names out there as well as some of the latest news as well. And I'll start here. I think because of the names maybe being an area that are things are drying up, right? Like with Darian Williams and Jameer Watkins and the guys that are possibly available. Are they going to stay in the NBA draft? Are they not? If they do come back, are they going to pick your school? Are they going to pick a different school? You're running out of options that are available in the portal. And so opening up to the rest of the world, quite literally, by looking overseas, enhances your options and the possibilities of finding people who would be able to come over and build out the rest of your roster. That can come from a couple different areas. It can come if you're looking for a backup big. It can come for that other splash play for KU. Clearly going hard for Dame Sarr is something that, like, okay, that would be an opportunity for KU to get that big splash play from overseas. But the Dame Sarr thing seems like that is starting to look like a Duke thing. So who are some other names that are out there that have been linked to KU? The first one is somebody who's going in the draft process. And this isn't somebody that I've seen in some way like linked to KU outside of, there was like one just brief like social media mention about it, but hasn't really popped up anywhere else. But I guess there was some sort of contact at one point. It's Neoklis Avdalas. And this is probably the best player that we'll talk about here among the different names we're going to go over. He's a 19-year-old Greek forward who is at the NBA draft combine, and he measured 6'7.5" without shoes. So you're probably talking like 6'9" with shoes, 198 pounds, 6'9" wingspan, 8'9" standing reach. And you watch some of the highlights, you're immediately taken aback by, like, you have this 6'9" dude who's dribbling between his legs and shooting step back threes, to where like he can be a small forward, or with the 6'9" frame, you could play him as a 4, right? And I think, honestly, like, it's kind of interchangeable with KU and with Trey White, to where if one guy's the 3, one guy's the 4, I don't know that it matters like that much, but he would fit in on the wing, certainly for KU. But he could stay in the NBA draft because he's somebody who's being seen as, like, could he work into the late first round? Could he be an early second round pick? What is he going to do? I don't know. But he began with Panathinaikos in Greece in 2021. Limited minutes, 20 games played, then 10 games in 2022 to 2023. Both years he was a teenager, kind of struggled in some areas. So then, as they do in like European soccer, they do this in European basketball. They loaned him out to Karditsa, which is another team in the top Greek league. And he goes for like 15 minutes a game, 25 games, 4 points, 3 rebounds almost. The efficiency, though, not good. 35% from the field, 14% from 3. But again, that's, when he's a 17, 18-year-old. So this past season, when he's basically an 18-year-old, he starts to have his breakout season to where it's like, okay, this guy could be something to watch here, right? So he gets loaned out again from Panathinaikos. He goes to Peristeri, which again is in Greece. And he plays 26 games, 18 and a half minutes per game. In those 18 and a half minutes per game, 7.7 points, 2.7 rebounds, 1.4 assists, 0.5 steals, and 0.3 blocks per game. And he does it while shooting 44% from the field, 36% from three, and 70% at the foul line. Really kind of just starting to put it all together. And again, that comes as he's playing against other grown men, other professionals in the Greek league, which is one of the best leagues that is out there. So impressive to do that as an 18-year-old where you're part of the rotation and getting that. He was also voted the Greek league's best young player in back in late February. Yeah, he was on Sam Vecini's top 100 big board for the NBA draft. And yeah, he could be somebody who, has NBA draft potential, whether it's this year or in a future year. And so watching some of his highlights, I was really impressed with. Had good speed in the open floor. I wouldn't call him like the quickest guy in the world, though for 6'9", he has good quickness. But really good speed once he gets in the open floor and in transition. Again, not the most like explosive player, but he's solid. Like he's a solid. He might not be like Zion Williamson athlete. He's a solid athlete, right? Like I don't think he's gonna have I don't think he had a 40-inch vertical, but like solid leaper, occasional fun dunk. He can dribble. He can put it between his legs. He shoots well off the dribble. He shoots well on step back threes. He can operate as a ball handler out of ball screens. So you can, use him in a way that if he's being guarded by the opposing four-man, the fact that he can run a ball screen as the pick and roll ball handler makes him even more dangerous. He's also a willing passer. He works well in spot-up situations too, off the ball. Seems to have good footwork, seems to have different ways to kind of get to the rim. And if you put a 4 on him, I think he can really win in isolation in those situations. If you put a 3 on him, he's going to probably be bigger than the opposing 3-man. So it's a good place to be in. So he would definitely be somebody that would be in the top of my wish list if Kansas can get that done. This next one is Ben Henshall. And this is one that, again, I haven't heard like a ton about KU and Henshall necessarily, but he is one of my favorite players that I watched among, like, I think he might be my favorite player that I watched among the highlights of the 5 players I'm going to bring up names today. I think fit-wise and what this KU team needs more, though, is a wing. So that's why I think Avdalas would be the best pickup. But Henshall is just my favorite player in a vacuum, again, of the ones that we're going to talk about today. So he's a soon-to-be 21-year-old. So, it doesn't matter. He's got a chance to do it a little bit older. 6'5", 198 pounds. Size-wise, he'd be kind of a 2 or 3. But honestly, watching him, he's more of like a combo guard. So in 2023, he signed with Perth of the NBL. And that's like ESPN actually came out with like a ranking of the best leagues outside of the U.S. and the world. And I think that came in 10th. So anyway, he also signed with Otago in the New Zealand NBL. And I don't know how that works, if they're played at different times or what. But anyway, first year with Perth, he played 16 games, limited minutes. With Otago, he wound up going for 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists per game, and a steal per game on 43, 33, 86 splits. And so then this most recent season with Perth, where they played, I guess if you total up all the competition between the NBL, just the league games, and the NBL Blitz, which I don't know if that's just like a tournament or what, he played 35 games. Henshall had 24 minutes per game, 9.5 points per game, 3.6 rebounds per game, 2.6 assists per game, 1.1 steals per game. Only 39% from the field, 33% from three, 86% from the foul line. I would venture to guess that the field goal percentage is down because of the amount of threes that he takes. And actually back in late February, Sam Vecini of The Athletic had him number 58 on his NBA draft big board. So again, somebody has potential to eventually be an NBA player. And like the reason I liked him so much is that like he has a fantastic pull-up game and a fantastic like 3-point game off the dribble. He can make some really tough shots. He does a lot of work scoring and hitting jumpers off the dribble. He can play on or off the ball. He's a solid passer. I think he's somebody that I look at and I'm like, okay, if you want somebody who can come in and hit shots for you, whether it is off the dribble or off the catch, Henshall is your guy. He's somebody who I think that's going to translate to the collegiate level and could be a really, really good scorer in a lot of different ways. And so he was just, if you just watch the highlights, really fun player to watch in terms of the highlights that he's putting together and some of those crazy threes that maybe he's hitting here or there. Again, I think Avdalas would probably be the best pickup for KU, but I love me some Ben Henshall. I'll put it that way. All right, we got 3 more names to get to, then latest news around KU. We'll get to that in a moment on Locked on Jayhawks. This episode of the show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you just stop managing your money and start building wealth. It's easy collaboration too, which is super nice. If you're managing money with another person, your partner, for instance, it's smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts. You can set goals. You can stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's right, half off. monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year with Monarch Money. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Locked On Jayhawks, and the NBA Draft Combine coming to a close, so hopefully some decisions soon to come, hopefully some news for KU soon to come, as they have still 3 scholarships remaining. Could one be one of these international players? All right, next name on the board, Declan Duru. He is an 18-year-old wing/forward from Germany. He stands 6'8", 225 pounds, somebody that I think Trilly Donovan kind of brought up as a possibility for Kansas, that they were at least doing some sort of contact there. And Duru is the ultimate, like, high ceiling, high potential, all the tools in the world, but it's a bit raw. So 7-foot wingspan, 38.5-inch vertical. Those were at Basketball Without Borders. 18 years old. He was signed by the Real Madrid Academy back in 2021, made his professional debut in November of 2024. Now, not a ton of varsity appearances for Duru. You're talking one game at the senior level, one other game for the team at the senior level of EuroLeague. The majority of his play came for the B team and the Spanish under-19 league for Real Madrid. So for the Real Madrid B team, 17 games, 21 minutes per game, 7.5 points, 5.5 rebounds per game on 49, 34, 73 splits. So a big man who's super lengthy, super athletic, and can shoot threes a little bit. That's nice there. Then in the 7 games, he played for Real Madrid in the U19 league, 12 points, 5.4 rebounds per game, 1.6 steals per game on 49, 42, only 45 from the free throw line though. But total up all his stats between those two, between the senior teams, and then the 4 games that he played at the Adidas Next Generation Tournament, you wind up with 30 games played and about 7.6 points per game. He also played at the Under-17 World Cup in Turkey in 2024, and the numbers look really good. 10.8 points per game, 8.6 rebounds per game, 2.4 steals per game, 1.2 blocks per game. That's awesome. Now, what's not awesome is if you look at the shooting percentages in that tournament for him. He shot 2 of 21 from three-point range. That is right, under 10%, 2 of 21 on three-point shots. He was 18 of 39, so well below 50% on 2-point shots. And total it up, that means he only shot 20 of 60, 33% from the field. So a 6'8" big man / wing shot 33% from the field in that event. Now, that's one event, limited games, right? He was also the second youngest player on the team. But, I don't know, just kind of interesting there. But overall, just a very raw prospect, incredible athlete with length. He might wind up being this insanely switchable defensive piece who can be a good rebounder and a defender and dunker. Almost think like a Cohen Carr at Michigan State. Now, Cohen Carr is like another level athlete, so I don't even know if I would go there necessarily. But I think potential for maybe more skill from that perspective than like Cohen Carr. But I would think this would be one where it's like maybe if you're bringing him on, it's more for the future than this year. Like maybe he can be a rotation piece this year. But I think realistically, if you bring on Duru, it's more for the idea of what he could be in year 2 or year 3. The next 2 guys we have are a couple Croatian players, which I know a lot of people saw this hit going around on social media about Kansas showing some interest in a couple Croatian guys. This was like a week or 2 ago. Ivan Bogdanovic, he is a soon-to-be 21-year-old in July. He's a 6'9" Croatian who was just playing in the league in Montenegro. 21 games for Derby. That's the varsity team in that top league in Montenegro. Also played in the ABA. How a lot of these European league teams work, they play their league games. They play I don't know, they have like the Euro League. They have like sometimes regional leagues, and the ABA is like a Baltic thing. Anyway, you total it up between the league play and the ABA play, and he appeared in 41 games, 17.2 minutes per game, 5.7 points per game, 2.3 rebounds per game, 1 assist per game, and he shot 44 from the field, 24 from three, 63 from the foul line. A year prior to that, he played in the Croatian top league with actually better splits, 45 from the field, 31 from three, 55 at the foul line on 9 points, 4 rebounds per game. And I would say on tape, like Bogdanovic, he kind of passes for more of a small forward wing type that is a 3 or a 4, but I think maybe leans toward being a 3 a little bit more than the next guy we'll get to, who's more of that, but more of the 4 version, I think. And when you're talking about Bogdanovic, he can work out of spot ups. He has, I think, a little bit more off the dribble than Skoric, who's the next guy we'll talk about. I think I like Skoric's shot look a little bit better, but still, it's not bad. And I would say he works well off the ball, is both a spot up player and in terms of cutting to the basket. I think solid athleticism in terms of being like relatively fluid, especially for like 6'9", but not like super big ups or anything like that. Like you don't see him throwing down like a ton of dunks or anything like that. I think he shows slightly more vertically though, and like if you're comparing him to Skoric, he has a little bit more there. I think a little bit more shake than Skoric. I think Skoric is the better passer. So let's get into Skoric here too. He's 22 years old. And I guess, by the way, this is just the new way to get old, stay old in college basketball, recruit Europeans who will be freshmen, but they'll be 21, 22 years old. So anyway, Skoric is 6'9" from Croatia as well. Kind of a versatile power forward type. And he's someone who, I don't know. It's interesting. So playing for the Sabonia, I don't know, the Croatia Premier League, 17 minutes per game, 5.2 points, 3.1 rebounds, 59% on twos, 20% on threes. But then in the 22 games they played in ABA, he was at 5.4 points per game, 51% on twos, 14.35, which is 40% on a limited numbers of threes. So I almost wonder if Skoric is the better three-point shooter, but I do think Skoric is he's more of like even more of a spot-up shooter. Like I think Bogdanovic can get shots off the dribble more than Skoric. Again, I almost view Skoric as being like a stretch spot-up 4, whereas Bogdanovic is kind of more of a wing, if that kind of makes sense, even though both are 6'9", and there are some similarities between the two. But you look at it, and I would say that Avdalas and Henshall would both be guys that I would probably expect to be in the starting lineup. Henshall, maybe that'd be more in competition with like Dawson and Council, but like definitely with Avdalas, I'd expect him to be a starter. Henshall, I think I would. With Duru, I'd view again more of rotation this year, long-term piece. Bogdanovic would be close for me. I guess right now I'd project him to be a starter because like you don't really have many other wings to go to. With Skoric, I wouldn't be surprised either way of it though. But if you're looking to add more talent, you're looking to widen your horizons, and you don't know what's going to happen with some of these NBA decisions, taking a look overseas, not the worst idea in the world for Bill Self. All right, latest news from both KU baseball and more. This is Locked On Jayhawks. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Locked On Jayhawks. What a weekend it was for KU baseball, as they were able to get a 3-game sweep at West Virginia. So in the end, Kansas finishes the regular season over 40 wins. They finish 20-10 in Big 12 play. That's good enough for the 2 seed in the Big 12 tournament, which important to get in the top 4 seed, you get a first-round bye. And this year is the first year that the Big 12 is moving away from a double elimination format into a single elimination format for the Big 12 tournament. And I think it makes some sense, even though it'll create a little bit more randomness, and like maybe it'll make it more likely that you can get an underdog, a Cinderella, or the best team doesn't end up winning. A single elimination in baseball is almost crazy. At the end of the day, like in a Big 12 tournament setting, I don't hate that, because in the double elimination, you're playing so many more games, and then you end up with, do you wear down some of the pitching and some of the teams right before the NCAA tournament? So I think this is a good idea overall. But Kansas getting the 2 seed means they'll play on Thursday, and I think Thursday at like 4 or something like that. The thing that sucks out of all of this, so Kansas finishes the Big 12 regular season 20-10. That puts them in second place. The team finishes first, West Virginia, is the team they just swept on the road. West Virginia goes 19-9 in Big 12 play. And the reason they win out is the winning percentage is slightly better. The reason they get less games here is because they had 2 games against, I think it was Oklahoma State, that got canceled due to weather, and they couldn't make it up. I'm just sitting there like, okay, well, just make them up now. Make them, I don't know, make them up beforehand, or just stay an extra day in Stillwater when you were supposed to be there. Or if you're not going to have a way to make games up, because you're in a situation where if they just go 1-1 in those 2 games, or they go 0-2, Kansas wins the Big 12 at that point in time. If that's not going to be your answer, then it shouldn't be based off winning percentage. Because if it's based off winning percentage, then theoretically a team could go, 1-0 and then sneak a manager out there the night before every game and, turned on the sprinklers, field got flooded the night before, we went 1-0, we have 1,000 winning percentage, we're in the Big 12. It should be based on, so like, obviously if you watch baseball, you'll be familiar with this. If you don't, then maybe this won't make as much sense. But a lot of times if you're watching baseball, and they'll show the standings, it'll be like, this team's 3.5 back of that team. How that is calculated is, okay, you take the number of wins you're back of the team, and then cut it in half, and you take the number of losses you're back of the team, cut it in half, add it up, boom, there you go. So for instance, in a scenario where, I don't know, let's say the Royals are 15-15, and the Detroit Tigers are 19-14. How do you figure out with a different number of games how many games back the Royals are of the Tigers? Okay, well, Tigers have 19 wins, the Royals have 15. Again, this is just a hypothetical. So that'd be a 4-game difference. But again, you cut it in half, so that'd be 2. And then the Tigers, in my scenario, had 14 losses. The Royals had 15. So that's 1. That'd be half game. So you would say in that scenario where the Royals are 15-15 and the Tigers are 19-14, that the Royals are 2.5 games back of the Tigers. So in this scenario where Kansas and West Virginia, where West Virginia has played less games than Kansas, if you viewed 20-10 versus 19-9, it would just be that they're even, that neither team was back of the other. And then you would have the tiebreaker where Kansas swept them in Morgantown. To me, that makes more sense. If you're going to have because that's the thing. In the MLB, if you get a game postponed, they're going to play it later. Apparently, we don't have that system in place in the Big 12. And that's really stupid that Kansas gets jobbed out of winning a Big 12 title just because West Virginia had a couple games canceled. That seems stupid to me. But anyway, 2 seed in the Big 12 tournament, that's really cool. Obviously, they're going to be making the NCAA tournament. That's really cool. And who knows, maybe they can do some damage in the Big 12 tournament and have a chance of getting a more favorable path in the NCAA tournament as well. Okay, last piece of news, I guess, before we go here. JJ Dunnigan, who is the top recruit in the class of 2026 for Kansas. Remember, Kansas is a really strong recruiting class in the class of 2026. They have a really strong recruiting class in terms of in-state recruits as well. And JJ Dunnigan is no different here. Also, doesn't hurt that he's from Manhattan, being somebody who's right in the neck of your woods of your in-state rival, right? But a very good player, and not just a very good player that, always a good player in state, which is a big deal on its own, but also he is like he's a top 200 recruit nationally. This guy was at the Under Armour All-American game and had like an interception there. This dude is a big deal for any program in the country to get, right? And so he had committed to KU already, but he was still like taking other, I don't know if he was taking other visits, but he was certainly having other conversations with other schools, and you'd see the occasional offer come in from other schools. Well, he posted this on social media. Born and raised, here to stay, recruitment shut down. # Kansas. It's a cool looking graphic as well on his social media talking about this. But that's exciting because, you knew there were going to be other suitors. And I guess like even if a recruit says I'm shutting it down, hypothetically, if you're another school, like you could still call or send a text message. Like it's not going to completely shut that down. But that being the intention here, as opposed to it being like I'm committing, but I'm kind of leaving myself open. It again doesn't guarantee anything, but it makes it feel even more official. And what a get it would be if Kansas does get Dunnigan on campus and officially as a Jayhawk, because this dude is going to be a baller in his time playing college football. That'll do it for this episode of Locked On Jayhawks. You can find our show anywhere you get podcasts, including on our YouTube page, where you can like and subscribe to the show. See you next time with LOJ.